Good morning. It is Friday, July 24th, 2015, and time now for our Elder Law Report with Attorney Greg McIntyre from Shelby, North Carolina. Good morning to you, Greg.
Morning, Milton. How you doing?
Doing great. Good to have you back with us.
I mean, yeah, man, I'm back from the beach. I'm rested up.
Yeah.
Didn't get eaten up by a shark. I'm good to go.
And you got some friends with you. Did you bring these
I
folks
do.
from
We've
the
got
beach?
a packed house today. No, I didn't bring them back from the beach, but you know, I do. I brought somebody that I work with. Think a lot of. That's Hayden Soloway. She's here today. Hayden, you want to say hello?
Good morning, everybody.
Okay, and I've got Jamie Richard here as well. Jamie Richard is a financial advisor and wealth planner with Edward Jones Investments in Shelby, North Carolina. His office is located just above the country club there, right next to Sterling House on Marion Street.
That's on East Marion Street, Greg.
Correct.
And I just want to thank you very much for allowing me to be here this morning, and look forward to it.
Oh, no, absolutely no problem. I'm glad you came on to speak with us. And we're talking about this morning, you know, Jamie and I tell people you're on my team all the time because we've done so much work together as far as helping clients protect their assets and legacies, which is what I do and what you help me do and what I help you do, I hope. But we're talking about today the dream team, your dream team. This is the summer of your dream team, okay? And what does that mean? Well, Milton, what do you think of when you hear about the dream team?
Well, a couple things come to mind, but first and foremost, the Olympics, the basketball team.
What year
Oh, my.
did the dream team play in the Olympics?
92.
1992. That's
Really?
correct.
Okay.
That's good.
And I didn't read that on the paper.
Okay. Good. Well,
I just took a wild
I want to
guess.
stump you. Stump Milton. That's the game that I play here at the beginning of the Elder Talk Radio here in Elder Law Report. So yeah, 1992 Dream Team. It was who was on the team?
Well, I did look at the picture that you handed me there.
Well, there's three in there. I mean, I'm on the team. I put my picture in James.
Oh, okay. Well, now I looked at it there you guys are. Of course, you got Bird and Jordan and Magic Johnson there.
That's right. Who was the coach? Do you know?
Coach of the Dream Team in 92, Dean Smith.
Chuck Daly.
Okay.
And Chuck Daly was the coach of the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah. Okay.
Who literally, at that point in time, I think actually, was just thumping Jordan and the Bulls.
Yeah.
You know, Dennis Rodman was on his team. Isaiah Thomas. You know, Bill Laimbeer used to get in a fight every other game.
Oh yeah.
You know, and they would just win the championship. I think 3 years in a row there. And I just thought that was ironic that he was on the team. But Isaiah Thomas, oddly enough, missing from the team. He was a great basketball player, But I think he and Jordan hated each other. So they beat their opponents. They played 8 people to win the gold medal that year in the Olympics, and they beat their opponents by an average of how many points per game?
Wow, I'll say 30.
30. Hayden, you got a guess?
35.
35. JB, you got a
I'll
guess?
say 40.
44. Jamie Richard.
Wow.
That's why he is a financial advisor.
That's right.
'Cause he's good with numbers. 44 points per game. And there's even video of other opponents guarding Magic Johnson, for instance, or Michael Jordan. And people they'll just be trying to get a picture with him while they're guarding. So, you know, somebody on the bench will be taking a picture so they can go tell their kids they guarded Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson. So those are some dream team facts. You know, they were a great team because they had great players and they worked together. I mean, just a lot of talent that worked together. And that's what you want on your side as you're going into retirement. You want an attorney who can work like an elder law attorney, who can work to and knows about the defense that you're going to be facing as you head into your senior years, and helps protect your assets and legacies. And what I mean by that is protect your home, your real estate, your money that you save for retirement, and also a financial advisor and planner who can, answer even simple questions for you. Well, that are really complicated on the back end. When should you take Social Security, Milton? When do you take Social Security?
Well, 62, 65.
I'm going to ask people to call in. If you want to know when you should take your Social Security, when the right time is,
When is the right
because
time?
you can take it, 62 to 68?
Is that right?
62 to 70.
62 to 70?
Okay.
So you can take it anywhere along that timeline, okay?
Mm-hmm.
There's advantages and disadvantages given your situation as to when you should take it. It's a math problem, okay? And experience goes in there as well. Jamie can answer that question.
Okay.
Call in if you want Jamie to tell you when you should take your Social Security. If you should take it early at 62 or wait till 65 or wait till 68 or wait till 70, okay?
Yeah.
So call in and we'll answer that question and other questions, okay? Need callers this morning to call in and get involved with me.
Yep.
Because we're gonna answer that question for you.
All right. Let's see if this is someone calling. You calling to talk to Greg? Hello?
I don't want to be on radio.
No, they don't want to be on the radio. Okay, they want somebody back in the office. We'll switch them. We'll switch them back to the office there. All right. That was not a call for us.
Okay.
Let me just say a couple of things about some of the factors when you determine when you should take Social Security. One, of course, is your life expectancy. I mean, if you're going to live to be 90, you probably want to delay it or wait in terms of when you take your Social Security. Health, if you have very poor health, you probably want to go ahead and start taking it early on. If you're married or single, that can determine when you might want to take your Social Security because the longer you wait, the greater your monthly check will be. So if you start taking, say, at 62, maybe you get $1,000 a month. If you wait till 65, maybe it's going to be $1,400 a month. If you wait till you're 70, maybe you're going to get $1,800 a month. So there's a lot of factors to consider, and also whether you're still working or when you plan to start working or stop working. Those are all factors that go into helping to decide when is the best time to take Social Security.
Okay.
So Jamie, if I come to you and I want you to tell me when the best time is, what kind of thought process are you going to go through? Are we going to meet in your office and talk?
Yeah, we're going to meet in my office, and I have a Social Security calculator that we use with Franklin Templeton funds, and we're able to plug in numbers. But I'm going to need a few things from you, like I'll need your birthday, and I'll need to know what is your benefit if you wait to your full retirement age. And Greg, as young as you are, your probably full retirement age is going to be, 66, 67 maybe? Have you?
Yeah, okay. I've actually used that calculator on Franklin Templeton, the one
Yeah.
that you're talking about, okay? And it said that my retirement age with a wife and 6 kids is actually 147 years old. So I've got to make it
Yeah.
to 147.
Greg, we're going to have to work with you a little
Okay,
bit more.
but I mean, so I'm going to max out my Social Security. How about that? So anyway, but you'd sit down with me, you'd work through all those factors, right?
Yes.
And we'd come up
we
with
would
that.
look at, well, first of all, whether you're married or not, because, and if you can give me an idea of your life expectancy. So if you were single, for example, and didn't have any children or a wife, whether you should take it at 62 versus 66, probably you have to live to be about 78 years old. So if you live longer than 78, you're probably better off waiting until you're 66 years old. But if you're going to die before 78, you're probably better off taking it at 62.
Okay.
That's just one example of things in terms of to think about for your Social Security.
Okay. I'm going to put out a quick disclaimer before I give you any legal advice. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm a North Carolina attorney. I'm going to, you're not my client. How about that when we talk? Unless you hire me and we sign a fee contract. So just had to put out that disclaimer. I think because you're in the financial industry, you have to put out one as well.
Yeah, I need to also put out a disclaimer. I'm Jamie Richard with Edward Jones Investments, and let me just say Edward Jones and its employees and financial advisors are not estate planning attorneys, and they cannot provide tax or legal advice. You should consult your estate planning attorney or your qualified tax advisor regarding your situation.
and I would be your estate planning and elder law attorney as Greg McIntyre. Okay.
Right. And I'm on your dream team as your financial advisor, and I appreciate that, Greg.
That's correct. That's correct. And I think we pass the ball back and forth. When I'm meeting with a client, I always ask the question, do you have, what kind of retirement assets do you have? What kind of, who's managing that? Who's maximizing your money? Do you have a long-term care piece in place, like insurance or a hybrid product? And how can that, because if I see that, then I know that's going to give you 2, 3, 5 years of time, if there's a healthcare incident, to not have to worry about a lien being placed on your house or your money spent down that you've worked hard for. And if you don't have any of those pieces, I'm going to ask if it's okay to refer you to Jamie. And if that's okay, then Jamie can help take care of you.
Yeah, I work with clients every day, and one of the questions we always ask and talk about is what would happen if you ended up going into, say, a nursing home, or you ended up in retirement with large health care costs? Because that's the one thing that can sort of derail your secure financial situation in retirement, is health care cost. Someone who goes into a nursing home nowadays, you're probably looking at $80,000, $90,000 a year. Someone in assisted living, you're probably talking $50,000, $60,000 a year. And a lot of people are just not aware of what those costs are, and maybe they think that Medicare is going to pay for that. Medicare may pay for it for a few days while you're recuperating and doing your rehab. But for long-term care, you're either going to be paying private pay, or you're going to have your long-term care insurance paying for it, which is considered private pay, or you may end up having to at some point get qualified for Medicaid.
Right. Which and passing the ball back. And this is how the team works together. We help get people aligned and qualified for Medicaid while also trying to protect as much of their hard-earned money and property as possible. And we work with financial experts like our financial advisors, like Mr. Richards, like Jamie, on a regular basis in order to do that. So you manage you manage stocks too, don't you?
Oh yeah, we handle stocks, mutual funds, bonds, CDs. We have very good CD rates now. We do all types of investments for individuals.
All financial planners out there do not also handle individual stocks.
No, a lot of them will maybe only do mutual funds or annuities and those type products.
They're only selling mutual fund products, things like that, but you can actually manage individual stocks as well and trade those?
Yes, I do manage quite a bit of individual stocks for my clients.
Just like on Wall Street, correct?
Yes,
All
just
right.
like on Wall Street.
That's pretty interesting. So and one of my favorite movies, by the way. Let me ask you this: if I have an IRA, 401k, things like that, those are beneficiary products, aren't they?
Yes. Every one of those products you mentioned are beneficiary products. Even life insurance, annuities, even your long-term care products, if it's in terms of life insurance, your 401ks, your IRAs, your Roth accounts. All of those, is very important to go ahead and put a beneficiary designation on that particular account. And here's the reason: if you died and you only have a estate listed as your beneficiary, or you do not have any beneficiary listed, then of course that's going to go through probate. And I think Greg can tell you why you don't necessarily want your estate to go through probate.
Can't stand to see somebody make the estate the beneficiary. I'll just make it the estate. It'll run through your will, where we have to publish it in the paper, and so liens can attach and creditors can attach.
That's right.
And take your money. No, the whole point of having transferable upon death assets like insurance products with beneficiaries or 401ks or IRAs is so you can pass it outside of the will and probate estate directly to, so the person you want it to go to just gets a check in the mail, right?
Right. In fact, we do what we call stretch IRAs. So you're able to stretch it out over the lifetime of whoever it is that's inherited your IRA or your 401k. So, for example, if you have an IRA and say it's got $100,000 in it and you pass away without a beneficiary, then it's going to be left to your estate. And a lot of times that's $100,000 that's going to have to come out of the IRA, and taxes are going to have to be paid on that particular asset. Whereas if you name your child, or if you name your church or your local charity, there's other ways that it can go directly, and we can avoid some of the all the money having to come out and pay the taxes all in 1 year.
Can you name alternate beneficiaries?
Oh yes, we call those
Because on a team like the Dream Team,
Yes.
you need somebody, if you foul out of the game, to come off the bench, right?
right.
So if your beneficiary is unavailable, passes away.
Yes, we have some called contingent beneficiaries that we add to a lot of our accounts, and this is where maybe say a husband and wife is going to normally put the spouse as the primary beneficiary, but then you may want to put your children down as contingent beneficiary. But again, let me warn you, you want to make sure they're at least 18 years old before you list them as a contingent beneficiary, because you don't really want a child to inherit something that's less than 18 years old. Can you tell us why, Greg, that's
Absolutely.
so important?
Well, in that situation, I think you could leave it to the child, Jamie, and these are some things, this is why we work together as a team.
Yeah.
But you'd want to set up a trust for that child to designate who's taking care of the child. You'd
Yes.
want to name in the will who, and go ahead and set up documents as to who you wanted to act as the guardian or parent for the child. And then the trust document makes a trustee and gives a fiduciary duty to the person that's the trustee and managing the funds to take care of that child in their best interest. And you might not want them even at 18, Jamie, to get a bunch of money. If I would have gotten a bunch of money at 18, I might have spent it on baseball cards or you know, or
yes.
or worse, or you know, trips to the beach.
Yeah, take all your friends to the beach and
I might
spend the
have
money.
taken every one of my friends to the Dream Team tour, like maybe to the Caribbean on a cruise or something, and that wouldn't have been a smart thing to do, right?
Right. Well, and when young people do inherit money, the problem is, especially you take an 18-year-old that inherits $100,000 from mom and dad, probably within about 4, maybe 5 months, that money is gone. Because, you know, the first thing they'll do is they're going to buy a brand new car. Then they're going to take all their friends and they're going to go have a big party. Then they go to Myrtle Beach. And next thing you know, what seemed like the most money in the whole world, that $100,000, is absolutely gone.
So with the trust, you can set up milestones for the kids or grandkids, and that's really when I talk about protecting your legacy, that gets into your legacy.
Oh,
so,
yes.
So you're saying, okay, I want you to go to college, and I'm going to fund that college. And then if you graduate from college, I'm going to dole out some of that. I'm going to give you some of that money. And then if you go on to grad school, maybe I'll help you with that. And then if you graduate from grad school, I'm going to dole out some of that money. And then maybe at 30, I'm going to give you, maybe at 25, maybe at 30, those milestones, I'm going to give you part of the trust. And then perhaps at 35, when you've sown the wild oats, maybe you have hopefully a couple of young children and a happy little family. You can get the rest of that money when you have some wisdom under your belt so that you can make proper and good decisions with that money.
That's an excellent way to structure that, Greg. And I know in my own situation, I've got 3 children, and we have it structured so that each year they would get 10% of the assets. That's if my wife and I both passed away and they ended up inheriting it. They wouldn't get a lump sum at a given time, but they would get 10% over a 10-year period.
Understood. So that way they could only blow 10% of it at a time, right?
And
hopefully less and less as they get older
right.
and get some life
and
experience.
And basically they would start inheriting it at I think about 25 years old, and they wouldn't really receive the
Good.
last payment until they were 35 years old.
I would have made smarter decisions at 25 than 18.
Yes.
But much smarter decisions at 35 than 25. There's no
Right.
doubt about it.
And that's why it's so important to have an elder law attorney to work with you on your team to make sure you make the right decisions for your heirs, because you're leaving behind a legacy. And legacies, I think, are very important to leave behind, because that's the future generations that's going to come along.
Speaking of legacies, did you know August is coming up?
Oh, yeah. I've heard about August.
What's in August?
August is the Leave a Legacy month. So
Official Leave a Legacy
Leave a
Month.
Legacy month.
So we'll be focusing that on legacies in August on Elder Talk Radio.
Yes.
And keep that in mind on what kind of legacy you want to leave your children and grandchildren. What's that look like? When I think of legacies, I mean the Dream Team, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Larry Bird. That's a pretty good basketball legacy, right? I think you're leaving behind your philosophy, the way you played the game of life, the experiences you went through. If you were in Vietnam, if you were in World War II, I'd want to tell my grandkids about that. I wouldn't want that to get lost. It's also the money you made, the work ethic you had, all that factors into a legacy. The farm you bought, maybe the land you have, the rentals. I think all those are part of your legacy. We do legacy videos sometimes where we'll allow someone to record all their experiences so they can pass that on to their children and grandchildren. So you may or may not agree with the way the world's going right now, right? And one of the ways to show them how the world used to be is to record that and pass it on. So
that's like the video your grandfather did for you of his experiences in the war.
in World War II,
Wouldn't that be a legacy to leave a child?
yeah, that's really cool. And something I was really close to my grandfather, J.C. Horn, who was a World War II vet and a machine gunner, and went from Battle of the Bulge on into Germany, and he was a part of a 3-man machine gun crew, and he allowed me to do. He never would talk about the war, but allowed me to do an interview with him when I was 11 years old. So if you want to hear how I sounded at 11 years old, go to our website and look at or go to our YouTube channel and look at that, or click on that interview, and you'll see a video where we put that to pictures and that have to do with what he's talking about with his experience during the war. It's about a 7 to 8 minute video with that interview. So yeah, that's a legacy. So to leave something like that is really, really cool and important.
And something the other day you said at a seminar to the ladies that we were presenting to about leaving a monthly payment to your grandchild. I thought every month that child's going to remember grandma. And of course it takes a significant amount of money, or maybe it's just a small amount, but that meant something to me.
I think so too, and not, I say cursing a child with a large sum of money at 18 years old, or a grandchild. I mean, I think that's more of a curse than a blessing most of the time, as history has and our experience has shown us. Milton, do you have any questions?
Well, no, not at this time, but I tell you what, if any of our listening audience would like to call in, we've got a few minutes, got about 10 minutes here left on the show. It's a good time to call, and we haven't given the phone numbers out, but most of our audience know these numbers. These are our regular business numbers, contest numbers, swap shop numbers, and now Elder Law Report numbers. It's 704-482-1390, 435-2844, or 735-8071. You can call any of those numbers from wherever you are. If you'd like to ask a question, or Greg, they can ask you about coming to see you, or you coming out to see them. And we're still doing the Code Word special.
Code Word Radio.
Mm-hmm.
If you call my office, Code Word Radio, heard Greg on the radio, WOHS, Big O Country.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't say that enough. Big O Country.
There you go. That's pretty good.
There you go. So if you call in with that Code Word Radio, then I'll sit down with you for as long as it takes. For an hour, we'll talk about your situation. May or may not need my help, but let's talk about it and see how I can help you protect your assets and legacy.
All right. Your office number is 704-259-7040.
704-259-7040. That's correct.
So.
And, if you have any questions for Jamie, call in today as well. Talk about when to take Social Security, what the right age is. Talk about Medicare questions, Medicaid questions. Be glad to answer any questions you have.
You want to give your website address?
Okay. Let me see. We've got a call coming in here.
Okay.
Hey, did you want to talk to Greg?
What's up, Shopping Big O Country?
Hello.
Hello there.
This is Sandra Keller. I'd like to speak to the owner with regard.
Oh, okay. That's That is not a call for us. We're getting plenty of calls today, Greg, but they're just not for us.
Understood. Understood.
All right, so maybe somebody else picked it up back in the office there. We'd love to hear from you, though. If you do want to give us a call at 704-482-1390, 435-2844, or 735-8071.
And Jamie, if someone wants to talk to you about planning for retirement or maximizing the money they have in retirement, or when to draw Social Security or how to maximize Social Security, any of those questions, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, I'm located at 1427 East Marion Street. And let me give you my phone number. It's 704-481-0388. Again, 704-481-0388. And my assistant's name is Penny Newton, and she'd be more than happy to set up an appointment to come in. One thing I would recommend everyone have, a lot of you will have somebody to do your taxes. I mean, that's almost a given. But the two other members of that same team is your estate planning attorney, your elder law attorney, and your financial advisor. And a lot of people think, well, you got to have a lot of money to have a financial advisor, and that's just not true. You can have one and start working towards saving money. Mm-hmm. We can help you set it up monthly or just figure out where you are in your situation. We also work with clients on trying to figure out how to get themselves out of debt. That's very important. So, but I would welcome anyone to just give me a call or come by and see me at East Marion Street.
Yeah, you give a lot of counsel to me and to others just about all those things that you just mentioned.
Yeah,
right?
I love to talk about investments. I'm very passionate about it. I enjoy it. I've been doing this for 14 years, and before that I was in textiles for a long time, and you know what's happened to the textile industry. And some of you may have some old 401ks sitting there, at the old employer, and you need to get those out of the old employer's 401k plan, and you really need to roll those over into an IRA. Whether it's with me or a bank or somebody, you definitely should do that.
Mm-hmm. Let me talk just a little bit more about trust. Been talking about those a lot more lately, and we do a lot of those. We got a lot of those drafting a lot of those. How about that? And some people think, oh well, but I've got managed funds. If I have a trust that protects funds, can they also be managed by a financial planner?
Yes, they sure can, and we can either manage it together with the client, or we can put it in what we call our managed account, and where you use professional money managers to do the managing.
Right.
So, and it can easily be set up in a trust account. It could be in a single account, a joint account. This could be IRA money. It could be Roth accounts.
Another way to really protect part of your nest egg from a Medicaid spin down in that healthcare situation are to use irrevocable trust. And we do one that I call a Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, but has special language in it designed for that situation. So you start that 3-year or 5-year look back period for long-term care Medicaid ticking. Those funds can still be managed, and the trustee has a fiduciary duty to still provide the same monthly income for the retiree, for the senior, that was being provided. So the senior doesn't know any difference, but it locks that money in a safe, the Medicaid Asset Protection Trust, so that it can't be gotten to if you get into a dire healthcare situation.
Yeah.
You need that long-term care.
And basically that starts that 5-year look-back period. So once you do put it into that, I guess commonly called the Medicaid Protection Trust.
Right.
You get the 5-year look-back period starts then. Mm-hmm. So in 5 years, basically those assets are protected from Medicaid.
Correct. 3-year look-back period for assisted living Medicaid, 5-year for long-term care nursing home Medicaid. Correct. Okay. So it starts that ticking. And if you had an intervening healthcare event, for instance, and needed nursing home care, or your spouse needed nursing home care in year 4, instead of looking at 5 years of spending down your money that you've saved during your working years, you're looking at 1 year until that vault locks, that safe locks, and none of that money can be touched.
Right. So, and that's why it's so important to see an elder law attorney. And an elder law attorney not only does Medicaid planning and those kind of things, but how to set up your estate. I have just a short story about a Iredale farmer. Basically, he had a large farm, about 300 acres, and he was gifted that farm from his father. So when he got pretty old, he decided he was going to go ahead and gift that farm to his son. His son was around 30 years old, and so what happened was he went to a lawyer, and the lawyer went ahead and drew up the deed and gifted it to his son. Well, everything was fine for a little while, and the son decides to go ahead and get married. So he gets married, and they're living on the farm also with mom and dad. And about a year later, he's out bush hogging on a tractor. It turns over. He gets killed. So he leaves the farm now to his wife, and everything's fine for a few years. And then the wife decides to get remarried. So she gets married to a new man, and basically the farm now is in the name of the wife and the new husband. And so the new husband says, well, what's this old man and woman doing on our farm? Why don't we get rid of them? And technically, could they get rid of them? And yes, they had given away the farm. And so that's why it's very important, I think, to see an elder law attorney, just because an elder law attorney would probably have made sure that that farm was always protected and that mom and dad still had control of that farm rather than giving it up.
I call that leverage.
Leverage.
I want leverage with the senior. And,
Yes.
and whether you trust and love your kids and they're the sweetest kids on planet Earth, kids are still nicer to mama when she still owns the property and she hasn't given away the farm, Jamie. Okay?
That's right. Yes.
And that's why farmers have shotguns and elder law attorneys. Okay, it's to take care of situations like that. All right.
Okay.
So in all seriousness, you know, we would want to do something like probably a deed other than just giving the farm away.
Right.
Maybe perhaps a ladybird deed would be a perfect tool for that job.
Yeah, because that basically has a beneficiary designation on
It
the deed.
essentially turns the financial industry is way ahead of the legal industry in these things. And the legal industry is slowly catching up, okay? And that is beneficiaries. Why just leave it hanging in the wind or give the leverage away, give the property away? Let's protect the property, which a ladybird would do, from any Medicaid spin down or liens. Beats the 5-year look back period right now, and automatically puts a beneficiary, if you will, or a grantee on the property, which is the kids. Okay, and that way you control it during your life for your entire life.
Okay.
Yeah, caller, Milton.
I'm not sure, but I tell you, Greg, we're just about out of time
Oh,
here.
okay.
So if there's anything you'd like to say here before we wrap it up, let me check and see who this call is
Okay,
holding
sure.
for.
So you know, just to wrap it up today, number one, I appreciate everybody that's out there listening. I understand that some have sensitive legal questions or financial questions that need to be answered in privacy. And I know that we have a lot of people out there listening because people come up and talk to me about it all the time. And we appreciate you. We want to help you. And that's what my practice is devoted to doing, is to helping as many people as possible. So, and Jamie is the same way. I have no doubt when I meet with a client, I tell the client how trustworthy Jamie is, how much I trust him with my money, and that just that's who you want, is people you trust that genuinely are passionate about what they do and that can take care of you. I hope that's me. I'm very passionate about what I do, and I know that's Jamie as well with the financial industry.
Okay. Well, I guess that'll wrap it up then for today. Greg,
Yes, sir.
good to see you guys. Nice to meet
Thank you, Milton.
sir.
Thank you,
And
Milton.
we'll be back next time then. The Elder Law Report.
Thank you, Milton.
Okay.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you, folks, for tuning in. Whoops. Thank you, folks, for tuning in, and we'll see you next time. Have a great weekend.